it up like Rampage, 100 bands. Cut your girl, now your girl need a bad daddy. Grade A, A1, chain the color of Akon. Black diamonds, backpack rhyming, cold sounding by Louis Vuitton. Horsepower, all this polo on, I got horsepower. Pound this cost 4,000, I make it rain, she want more showers. Rain, pouring.
Go ahead. I got it. Let's go.
In Sunday school, we remember hearing of Sodom and Gomorrah,
ancient cities where sin governed the citizens,
where corrupt codes of conduct became law.
Trusting strangers quickly became victims.
The cruelty of these sister cities rang loud enough to reach the heavens, so we were taught how God purged them,
sowing them like salt into the land, scorching the earth with fire and brimstone,
and only saving those few who did not look back. But today, it seems the only part worth remembering is when God's angels were sent to Sodom disguised as mortals.
The men of Sodom demanded they be dragged into the streets so they could be raped and humiliated.
We have seen politicians and preachers dangle these lines of text over the heads of same-sex couples. We've heard them preach pain,
strain their vocal cords until they are tighter than nooses, and label an entire community of people
as perverted, dangerous, and diseased, as if who they love made them lepers.
This red-faced rhetoric is justified by saying that Sodom and Gomorrah's destruction
defines God's views on homosexuality.
That it is in God's best interest to hate,
to sling lines of scripture like slurs, as if they were the righteous stones thrown in the face of Goliath. But when did the Bible become a plaything of prejudice?
A tool to divide families and tear apart friendships.
A reason to ostracize brothers and sisters just for being themselves.
At what point does the Bible say that the wedding rings of my uncles are congruent with shackles and that their vows should be heard as eulogies?
We grew up with Bibles that mentioned the word hate 80 times and love 551. See, I was raised with rosaries for shoelaces, reminding me that each step I took was on holy ground.
But today, whenever people hear the word Christian, they expect a crusader.
Because our faith is seen as a sword, but there is no holy war to be fought here.
God did not sacrifice his son to provide us with crimson war paint.
Jesus died to guide us from those fatal footsteps of false prophets and Pharisees.
Mixed the fabrics of church and state and spoke for God.
Those who would abandon the weak and the sick,
turned blind eyes to the misfortunes of the poor,
as if poverty and hunger were pre-existing conditions that met strangers with violence and resentment. Anyone foreign was a threat to their way of life.
Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed because they were
greedy, hostile, and filled with hate. Does this sound familiar?
Because the same hands that break bread in church break the bones of our country's healthcare system.
Bureaucratic blasphemy squeezes the life out of welfare and builds walls out of paranoia and fear, as if there isn't enough liberty to go around.
If our country resembles Sodom and Gomorrah more than it does the Promised Land,
it's because so many Christian fundamentalists have forgotten the fundamentals of Christianity.
But those who wield the Bible as a weapon often end up on the wrong side of history.
From slavery
to suffrage,
integrated marriage, to the rights of same-sex couples,
our nation's past is full of reminders
that our true manifest destiny lies in the rapture of change, that we learn to move forward when we stop looking over our shoulders, letting the past define our futures.
We release ourselves from the hate that has bound us to brimstone and let fire teach our hearts to shine.
It is when we look to love
and acceptance
that we are able to step away from the legacies of cities worth burning.
Give it up for those poets from Smashville. So dope they make the lights turn out. They didn't even